Welcome back to the college lineup. I'm Eli.
And I'm Carson, and as always, Eli, it's a pleasure to be back breaking down some college sports with you. Episode number 16, and it's also the first week to recap some college baseball games.
That's right.
Yep, so we had a great weekend of baseball. We're going to talk about, first up, some notable games that we picked out for the week. Eli, what are some games that stood out to you from this past weekend of college baseball?
Yeah, so right off the top of my head, which we were just talking about this, was the Indiana-North Carolina game. Now, obviously, Indiana ended up going 0-2, or 0-3, actually, playing against North Carolina. But they did have one game on Saturday. They ended up going into 11 innings, but they had a chance. They had North Carolina on the ropes. They had 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. All they had to do, all the second baseman had to do, was throw the guy out running to first, and he throws the ball into the ground. That scores 2 runs, so it ties the game, and it ends up going into 11 innings, and North Carolina ends up pulling that one out. So that was my first really notable game on the slate here that we got to kind of keep up with this weekend. They ended up getting beat in the second game. 12-2, and ultimately they lost all 3. So it ended up not being too close. So you might want to say that was a fluke opportunity, but nonetheless they blew their opportunity. So Indiana is now 0-3 after having a chance to beat North Carolina.
Man, if you're familiar with the term yips, if you go watch the video of the Indiana second baseman throwing that ball, it basically right into the ground. That is the yips pictured perfectly. I don't know how his career's been up to this point. I was very unfamiliar with this player, but obviously in that moment, you can tell it hit him. That's all they had to do was make the throw.
Yeah.
Just nice and easy, nice and smooth. I don't know if the runner was, busting his tail down the line, but you can just tell it got to him in that moment.
Yeah.
And the moment got a little bit too big for him. And I really do feel for him now because everyone always thinks that throw is super easy throw, and it really is. But players that are really good make it look much easier than it is, that we're so used to seeing it done at an effective level that you really don't think when you're in that moment, bases are loaded, you're about to upset the number 11 team in the country as an unranked Indiana team, just how hard it is to keep your composure and make the simple throws that we're so used to seeing. So.
Right.
I feel for him.
It really threw me off, though. You see, like, people sell it all the time or throw it too far to the right or throw it too far to the left. But you watch this one, it just goes straight into the ground. And it's like, part of me does feel for him. I didn't play any really baseball that ever really mattered. I played rec league growing up. But I could still say I think that I've never really seen another person throw it straight into the ground when they're, 6 to 10 feet away. Now, again, I do agree with you. I think it is sometimes a little harder, and the nerves get to you when you're like, oh, this is the last out, and we beat another number 11 ranked North Carolina team. But at the same time, it's like, at least give the first baseman a chance.
Yeah, what cracked me up is the first baseman just kind of didn't know what to do, and he just kind of turned. He didn't move. He just turned and watched the ball just roll right by him because he couldn't believe that actually just happened. And by the time it registered that the ball was rolling past him from the second baseman, 2 runs have already scored at that point. So, yeah, just a really weird scenario. You got to feel for him, though, because this has been posted just about everywhere.
Yeah.
If you opened up your phones anytime this weekend and you were looking at college baseball stuff, this throw came up on my page from a ton of different accounts. And so, at that point, I feel for him, and it's just a rough scenario all around.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. Another one that I just saw that we didn't talk about beforehand, but I was just looking through, Wright State ended up upsetting the number 15 Georgia team. Now, they lost the series all in all, and obviously in college baseball, you don't always expect to sweep a team by any means, but at the same time, it is great for these unranked teams to kind of slide in there and get a win against a unlikely opponent because, once you get into SEC play, now your midweek games are the only ones that are they're like that where there's potential for unranked upset for the most part. Now, obviously, there are some SEC teams who aren't going to be ranked, but at the same time, these first few weekends of baseball, you really get to see. This is where you see most of the upsets because they are getting 3 games to play a good Georgia team, or 3 games to play a good, a good Tennessee team, or a good Vandy team, or a good North Carolina team, or good Alabama team, whatever that may look like. So again, it's probably, at the end of the day, they won 2 out of 3, like all these teams did. But it is just neat to get to see that that Wright State was able to put it together at least for one game and beat Georgia 6-3.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, and that Georgia team is one that really kind of made their way into the college baseball world last year. Had a great year last year, so it's interesting to see that they're dropping some of these early games. Probably just some kinks working out. I know a lot of teams are struggling getting the bats going. But you look at the game before that, they beat Wright State 9-0, and then the next game only scored 3 runs. So my guess is they're kind of a lack of pitching, just kind of a couple pitchers I'm not used to seeing, like not being in that game scenario, not being used. I mean, obviously they've thrown live pitches to batters in practice and stuff, but it's a whole different environment when you're actually up there on the mound during a game. So I'm sure Georgia will pull it together, but like you said, it's still very cool to see Wright State pull out against Georgia. I'll tell you what, we didn't have an upset here, but I was eyeballing it this weekend. Auburn, who's number 9 ranked in the country, was able to squeak out a couple games this weekend. They snuck out the Saturday game 2-1 in extra innings. And they also, if I remember right, barely snuck out the game before that on Friday night. So they had a doubleheader Saturday. One of them they won 17-2, and one of them they only won 2-1. So that right there sums up baseball in a nutshell right there for you. But I think Auburn's going to be a great team this year, especially in the SEC. So it's very interesting to see that they are kind of, I don't want to say struggling, but they got a little nervous. Youngstown State. Wow, that's a tongue twister of a college right there. Kind of was able to pull together some good quality pitching to hold number 9 ranked Auburn only 2 runs there. So another surprise there. Like I said, not an upset, but one that did make me turn the channel this weekend. So also looking through here, do you want to go ahead and hit on Vanderbilt this weekend?
Yeah, I will. Just real quickly. It was a rough weekend for the Vandy boys. They could have had a 2-1, maybe should have had a 2-1 ending to the weekend, but instead they had a 1-2 ending. I don't think they were ever going to go 3-0. Just how the Oklahoma State game was on Sunday, we did not play to our ability or to the ability we played at on the first 2 games. The first game, we had a chance. We were tied. I think it was 3-3, and our catcher, Colin Bardsey, great game all around, had 3 home runs. So 3 out of the 4 runs we had were just him hitting solo home runs. But he made a doozy on defense, and he got the ball on a drop third strike to end the inning. The game would have been tied at 3. Going into the 9th inning or 8th inning, one of those, and he made a bad throw, and they scored 2 runs, get up 5-3. 9th inning comes around, he hits a solo bomb for his 3rd home run, and we lose 5-4. And it could have gone either way. We were playing TCU. I think they're ranked 5 or something like that. I may be mistaken. They were top 10. I just can't remember exactly where they were ranked, but that would have been a great win. But first game jitters kind of getting at you there. Can't fault them too bad there. Second game, we bounced back against Texas Tech. We beat them 13-3 in 8 innings. Just a bunch of home runs. We hit quite a bit of home runs this weekend, and then to close out, we played Oklahoma State and lost 11-1. So can't really tell much from this Vandy team. Just these 3 games. They play TCU on Friday, and you think, without that error, we could have won the game, or made it go into extra innings, something along those lines. Made it a longer game, and at least had a better chance without that error. And then Saturday, you're like, that was just a bump in the road. We mercy ruled Texas Tech. and then we play Oklahoma State and get Mercy ruled 11-1. So it's just hard. I don't think you can tell much about that yet. But other than that, they're ranked 23rd when the new rankings come out. Don't know what they're. I assume they would still be ranked just because Vandy kind of has a good baseball name. But it would also be a little frustrating if we're not good at baseball when we've been good for so long. But we're good at everything else now, or a lot better than we've ever been before. So other than that, that was a little bit long-winded. But overall, can't really gain much from that first weekend. Can't tell a lot. There was streaks of greatness, but there was also streaks of not so much greatness. So, Carson, do you have any input on that?
Yeah, I think you hit it pretty well. It's kind of hard to tell, mostly because, too, you're playing great competition there, and they were in that, I believe, the Shriners Baseball Classic, so it's not like they just scheduled some low-level competition to come into Nashville and play them. No, they went out to Texas. They competed against good competition, which is something I commend Vanderbilt for doing, because they could very easily just, after this weekend, just ran over some teams and been 3-0. But that's not how you learn true test of your team. You learn by putting them into stressful situations against good opponents that'll serve you well come conference, come SEC tournament time, and later on, hopefully, into postseason play. So, also, too, you look at this Vanderbilt lineup, there's a lot of names you don't recognize. So, it's always interesting to see. Kind of, Tim Corbin's very big on changing the lineup throughout the season. So, I always like to go back about midway through the season and kind of look at how we started and where we're at now, because I can guarantee the lineups that we had this past weekend are going to look very different even by the time we get to conference play.
I agree.
He's always moving players around, always adjusting, and I think this weekend was a good starting point to kind of learn where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. So they'll learn from it. They'll get better. I believe the first conference home stretch for Vanderbilt is hosting LSU. So they've got a couple weeks to figure it out, but once conference play starts, the gloves are off. So you got to get to work, get to figure it out now.
Yep. I think that's good, and I think, like you said, and like we both said, just can't tell yet with them. Now, do you want to break down Alabama at all? You do. You keep up with them a little bit more than I do, but but they did play Washington State, it looks like, and they actually got beat on Friday, is what it looks like here. So then on Saturday, excuse me, I'm a little all over the place. On Saturday, they won 8-1. So I'm not sure what they did on Sunday. They won on Sunday as well, is what Carson's telling me now that he has it pulled up.
We did a doubleheader on Saturday.
Oh, a doubleheader on Saturday.
Wouldn't load for a minute.
Okay.
Here. But yeah, we did. We lost the Friday night game. Kind of shocked the world there. We started one of our better pitchers as well and just couldn't get comfortable, so we dropped that game 8-4. Next day, came back. We did move it up because they were expecting some rain in Tuscaloosa on Sunday, as did most teams here in the Southeastern Conference. They did, most of them, if you look, did not play a Sunday game. They played doubleheaders on Saturday. So, yeah, Alabama was able to bounce back great. They won the first game 8-1 Saturday, and then the second game 11-1 there. So big bounce back. Not gonna lie, heart dropped a little bit after the first game. I was like, this isn't what we're gonna be doing this year.
Yeah.
But overall, able to come back strong, outscore Washington State big time those two games. So love to see it. Love to see the bounce back, some grit and some fight in this team. I think this team is kind of underestimated when you look at some of the talent they have pitching wise, and also in the field. So I think they've kind of got a chip on their shoulder, but at the end of the day, you have to earn everything in college baseball. There's talent all over, and it's a new season. Players move around. No roster looks the same as it did last year, and just the current state of college baseball we're in. So we're going to have to earn it, and this team's going to have to find a way to play together. So any other final games stick out to you from this past weekend?
I don't think so. There could have been a few that we missed, but not off the top of my head at the moment.
I see Coastal Carolina won their two games Saturday. In their cheap jerseys, as you called it from the last episode.
Oh, yeah, the really cheap jerseys. Maybe they wore different ones this time to show out a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's all I've got in college baseball. I did think it was interesting, the Friday night game, UAB beat Florida. Kind of a fun little upset there. Also, on Saturday, Georgia Tech beat Bowling Green 27-4. They had 22 hits and 0 errors. Georgia Tech is currently ranked 5 in the nation. So it'll be interesting to see how they do throughout the rest of the season, but they're definitely putting up a statement early. So Great weekend of college baseball. I'm excited. We've got some midweek games this week and another weekend of college baseball coming up. So we will break those down next week.
Welcome back to my favorite segment, the Weekly Hunt.
Welcome back to the Weekly Hunt. If you are new here, the Weekly Hunt is where we break down all the new information happening with the University of North Alabama Athletics, where me and Eli are both proud alumni from. So, Eli, we've got some baseball and softball in addition to some basketball to talk about now.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's start with softball here. So far, we are recording this on Monday, February 16th. UNA softball is 6-3, currently on a one-game win streak coming out of the Samford tournament. Pretty good start so far for the Lady Lions, I would say. Big notable win I would put on here as well. They do have a win over Belmont, a win over MTSU, a win over Chattanooga, and a big win against Samford, 10-2. So I think it's a pretty good start, Eli, don't you think?
I agree, and they actually have 2 wins against NTSU. It was called the Trojan Classic, it looks like. So they played a couple of teams, and they played them on the 6th of February and then also on the 8th of February. And they beat them 5-1 and 4-2. And they had a good stretch in the Trojan Classic, going 5-1, only losing to Troy. So great showing from them so far. They did lose to Lindenwood. Not sure how good they are, but they do have one win against Belmont, lost the second one they played. This was in the Samford tournament, and they did beat Samford. So, like Carson said, I think a really good start so far. Couldn't ask, obviously, if they went 9-0, I guess you could ask a little bit more, but they're 6-3 right now, 3 games above 500, a lot better than either basketball team started out, which, got a little time to turn around, I guess. We'll talk about that in a little while, or here in a minute. But I think softball's played well so far. They always give most teams a run for their money, especially the past couple seasons. They've had some really good softball teams. So I'm excited to see where they go. But other than that, that's all I really got on the softball team there.
Yeah, I think UNA softball past couple of years has always just been sort of reliable, as you know that they're going to be probably, I'd say, between the 600 to 750 win percentage mark.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be better than your average 500 team, but they're not going to be leading the ASUN, but they're always going to be competitive. They're always going to beat some good teams, and they're always going to play good competition. So, softball's always competitive, always reliable. So it's good to see that we're still looking on track this season at 6-3. They will go on this weekend to Mobile, Alabama, playing in the South Alabama Invitational, where they are scheduled to play Loyola Chicago, West Georgia, UT Martin, and South Alabama. So we will be excited to break that down next week. Softball, off to a great start. Let's move on over into baseball, where first, before we get into how they did this weekend, I just want to give a quick shout-out in a great way. So I went to one of the baseball games this weekend on Saturday. They did a doubleheader on Friday due to incoming rain, kind of how we saw with Alabama and some other SEC teams this weekend. So doubleheader Friday night, one game on Saturday, and this was the first game at Mike D. Lane Field at Bank Independence Stadium. So I was really, really, really blown away by this new stadium at this game, or this new game at this game at the new stadium. There we go. There we go. But it was a great experience. We actually had more people than seats, so we had a lot of people standing. I know I stood for the first 4 innings just because of how many people were there. They did a ribbon cutting. They gave away some commemorative bats. Just a great experience. All in all, the field looks amazing. It is an all-turf field. We have a purple monster in left field. It is awesome. Didn't see a ball hit off of it yet. I was a little disappointed. But overall, great experience. Concession stands. I got a whole meal for $8. Got to throw that in there. I mean, that's an absolute win. Just
you don't catch that happening at SEC schools.
Oh, no. At a Vandy game, I love Vandy, but at a Vandy game, you're paying those Nashville prices. That hot dog would have been about $20.
Yeah.
So, great experience. I'm definitely going to be back to some more UNA baseball games here soon. So, job well done, UNA. Job well done. Killed it. Gets me really hopeful for the actual Bank Independent Football Stadium opening this fall. So, like I said, job well done. Had a great time, great fan experience. There was a great energy there, great showing, like I said, a lot of community people. Didn't see a whole bunch of students, which was interesting to me. It was mainly community folks and people that were alumni there, that had family that went there, had some sort of family connection to the team. So it was really great to see the community come out for a Saturday baseball game like that. So great experience. But going on to the actual games, Friday we won both games 3-1 and 8-1. So we won the series on Friday night, and then we ended up losing a close pitchers duel on Saturday, 1-2. It just couldn't seem like we get the bats going. It was cloudy, weather was a little bit chilly, got some cold wind blowing in, and they had some really good pitchers thrown against them. So just couldn't get the bats going there. Eli, any thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was a good weekend overall. Never complain about a series win. If you win every series, you're set up really nice for ASUN especially, and maybe a chance at the NCAA tournament. Who knows? But yeah, I think anytime you can win a series, a 3-game series, no matter who you're playing, I think that's good. A good thing for any team. So UNA, I think, starts off strong here, like you said, 3-1 and 8-1. So looks like our pitching is really strong, or at least against SIUE. Don't know how good they are, but any time where you can play 3 games and only give up a combined of 4 runs in that 3-game stretch is pretty good, because we ended up scoring 12 runs overall. Our 12 to their 4, you'd win most games with a weekend series like that. So overall, great stuff. Looks like, and from what Carson said, looks like our pitchers are going to be pretty solid this year, and our offense doesn't look too shabby either. So I think overall, for the first 3 games of the season, going 2-1 is one of the best things you could ask for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do believe they got some momentum with the community being behind them now. You got this new stadium here. We have the school showing that they're willing to invest in this team, and not just football and some other new sports that we're bringing in this fall, but we're also going to support the teams that we already have in place here. So great weekend. I do want to say one thing, that Friday night game, our first baseman, sophomore, his name's Petey, put one about 4:30 into Bank Independent Construction down there.
Nice.
So he also had a pair of, or I believe just one hit, but a big RBI hit. That one run we scored on Saturday was an RBI from him. So he's swinging the bat well. He's currently hitting in the 3 spot. So he's going to be a big part of this offense moving forward, and excited to see what he does as this season goes on.
And you ended up with a baseball at your truck by the time the game was over.
I did. So the church parking lot, the normal game day parking lot, was closed because it was a Sunday. I did not think this through, Eli. So I decided I'd just go right around and I'd park on the street behind the first base dugout. Didn't think anything of it until I'm sitting there and I see these foul balls start flying, and I'm like, that's awfully close to where I parked my truck. Right. And so and here's the thing, when that ball's hit, I kept like squinting, waiting for it to hear it hit my truck. Yeah. But they also played like a glass breaking sound effect in the press box. Wow. So I couldn't tell if it was my truck or if it was a sound effect, or like if I'm just gonna hope when I get there that it's all taken care of, because like I said, I had a great experience, and that was gonna kind of put a damper on the day. But
understandably,
all the windows were in place, and there was a foul ball sitting in the grass right next to the truck. So just made the day a little bit better.
So you got a ball and it missed your truck by a little bit, a few feet, maybe. So that's always a plus.
I'd much rather find it in the grass outside than
in your front seat.
In my seat. Yep. All day, every day. So UNA baseball, we're going to keep breaking that down, as well as softball, as their season continues. We're going to shift gears here and talk about the last sport. UNA men's basketball finally picked up another ASUN win this Saturday. So they had a really big home stretch last week. Played a home game on Monday, Wednesday, and on Sunday. Unfortunately, dropped the Monday game and the Wednesday game. Monday game, they led the whole game against Central Arkansas until about the last 3 minutes. Just had some unfortunate gameplay down the stretch there. Wednesday game wasn't really too competitive from us at all.
No.
But this past Sunday on ESPNU, I believe it was the first UNA home game broadcasted on a mainstream ESPN channel. So very exciting there. Great crowd showing in. UNA won 84-78 in overtime, improving to 8-17 overall and 3-11 in the ASUN. Eli, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just glad we picked up another win. You know, going 2-3 in a home stretch, or sorry, not 2-3. Going 1-2 in a home stretch is not really what you want this late in the season, especially with it being ASUN teams. But always nice to close out the home stretch, which we actually have another home game this week against Queens. Not expecting to win that game by any means. Maybe we can slip up and win that. I know me and Carson were at the Central Arkansas game on Monday night, and it was, like Carson said, a great game. We were leading the whole game. It looked like the UNA from last year, but then to close out the last 3 minutes, we just started not being able to hit anything, and just they were getting whatever they wanted to. So that was a frustrating loss. Again, West Georgia, like Carson said, wasn't the closest game in the world. I mean, we only lost by 9 points, but it was never super competitive where we thought that, UNA might sneak away or sneak out with a win there. But again, glad we could beat Eastern Kentucky. At this point, any ASUN win would be great and an upset for us because we are at the bottom of the standings at 3-11. North Florida is right there at 4-10, but then Eastern Kentucky is 5-9. So being able to beat them was still big, even though it wasn't like a Central Arkansas team. So looking forward to the Queens game. Maybe we can pull out a win at home. That'd be a big morale boosting win for the UNA men's team if we could win that. If not, I think at this point you're kind of done, realistically speaking. Like unless you just make a big run in the ASUN tournament, I think at this point you just throw all your pieces at Queens and the rest of these games. And if you lose them, you lose them. If you win them, you win them. Until the ASUN tournament starts, there's not much left in it for UNA. Obviously, I hope they go out and win out until the ASUN tournament, but it's just not looking good for the UNA Lions.
Yeah, I agree. I think this Queens game we have here this upcoming Wednesday, February 18th, I think this could possibly be a big make-or-break game.
Yeah.
Because after this game, they're going to go this Saturday to Lipscomb, at Lipscomb, and play. And then we have 2 games left against Bellarmine and West Georgia. So this game against Queens, say theoretically you win, right? That's the boost you need to go play Lipscomb and to go be competitive and to go finish out your season strong. Where I worry, Wednesday, this doesn't go your way, Queens puts it on you pretty bad or loses a close one.
Yeah.
I'm worried that we're just going to kind of lay flat, die down, and say we tried. We need something at this point to kind of give us some momentum going into the ASUN tournament. Because this year, if you're unaware, there's no college home sites. The whole ASUN tournament is in Jacksonville, Florida this year. So you're going to need some extra momentum from your games going into the ASUN tournament if you're going to make a run for it.
Yep.
So I know last year we were able to host, some ASUN games, and it was awesome. The environment was crazy, and we could feed off of that. Can't do that this year. So you're going to have to make your own momentum towards the end of the season to take into the ASUN conference tournament. And I think this Queens game could be a game to do it. So excited to see them play, and I'm hoping they can pull it out.
Now we're moving into our rapid fire segment.
We not only have 5 basketball picks this week, but we're also going to pick 5 baseball series to pick from. So, Eli, let's do baseball first.
Okay.
We have the series between number 12 Florida and Kennesaw State.
I think Florida is going to take this series. Kennesaw State may slip up and win one, but overall,
Kennesaw State is 3-0. If
well,
that changes your mind.
Doesn't change my mind,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Worth a shot.
But they may slip up and win one again. It is hard to win, go 3-0 in any given series, regardless of who that team is. So I'm going Florida with this one.
Yep. I'm going Florida too. Got the Gators in this one. Next up, we have number 8 Arkansas versus Xavier. Xavier's usually a regional team, so I thought I'd throw this in here.
Xavier plays pretty good. I think they're going to give Arkansas a run for their money. I think Arkansas is great. They showed it last year. Really, you could have even said maybe deserved to win the national championship last year in baseball. But there was some unfortunate left field mistakes that he still won't probably ever live down. But there was a couple plays there that they could have ended it before that anyway. So Arkansas is a great baseball team. Obviously, we only have a small sample size this season. I'm going to go Arkansas to win the series, but I think Xavier may win one.
I'm going to go with the exact same thing you just said. Xavier gets a game. They make it close for all three, but give me Pig Suey winning the series. Next up, number 2 LSU versus Central Florida.
LSU all the way. LSU's a baseball school right now until maybe Lane Kiffin turns it around at LSU football. Should be expecting some good tidings for the LSU baseball team. So I'm going with LSU overall right here, and I think that they're going to go 3-0.
In my Coach O impression, go Tigers. So give me LSU winning the series. Next up, we have San Antonio versus Dallas Baptist.
I think Dallas Baptist is going to take this one. Vandy's met them a couple times in the regional, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that they'll win this series 2-1.
I'm going to go Dallas Baptist as well, but I think that'll be a fun series to watch. Both teams are about pretty even in total there. So last baseball series pick of the week, we have number 18 Kentucky versus Evansville.
So Evansville is also a pretty good team.
Another surprise regional team here.
Vandy got beat in the regionals at Vandy. I think it might have been last year, maybe to knock them out. Can't remember for sure. Embarrassing number one. Anyway, so I think that Evansville is going to take one game out of this series, but overall, I'm going to go with Kentucky winning 2.
I'm going to go Evansville wins 2 out of 3.
Really?
Yep, I am. I think it'll be a great series, but I like Evansville in this one. I think Kentucky blows them out for one game. Evansville wins 2.
There you go. Well,
that's
there
what
you
I'm
have
rolling
it.
with. Moving on to basketball, we have a little rivalry here. 1 o'clock on ESPN this Saturday, Tennessee and Vanderbilt in Nashville.
Give me the Vanderbilt Commodores to bring down the house in Memorial Gymnasium. It's not even going to be close, Carson.
Not even close.
Not even close. Vandy wins by 25. 100-75.
Dang.
Yep, and old Jalen Carey, who transferred from Vandy to Tennessee, is going to score 2 points and foul out. Not going to have a good game.
What is it that Dansby said? We don't do orange?
We don't do
We
orange.
don't do orange. Give me the Commodores in this one. I like Vandy in this game. We also have a little night game, little semi-rivalry here, little football rivalry. We have 25 Alabama versus LSU. Who you got? In Baton Rouge.
Give me the Alabama Crimson Tide. LSU has gone 2-10 in SEC play. I will say, though, there are chances for upsets, always. Vandy lost to Oklahoma last weekend, so or the Tuesday. Anyway, I think it was last weekend. Not this one, but the one before that. Anyway, and Oklahoma's like 3-9. So there is always a chance for upset, especially when it's not when you're playing an away game. But I think Alabama takes care of this one decently, easily.
Yeah, I like Bama in this game big. I think we win by 28. That's my prediction. So
there you go.
Good bounce back for Alabama right there. Should take care of business, no problems. Not too worried about it. Moving on, out of SEC games, we have number 4, Arizona, at number 2, Houston.
This one's tough because they are both 23-2. Houston is 11-1 in the Big 12. Arizona is 10-2. But I think I like Houston here. Not going to go for the upset. I think Houston is going to beat Arizona, but a close game. I think it's going to be within 5 points for most of the game, but I'm going to go Houston here.
I'm going to go Houston just because it's in Houston. I like home field advantage, or home court advantage, I should say. I think it's going to play a big factor in this game, and I think they get it done. Close one, but they get it done. Moving on, we got 2 left. We have number 1, Michigan, sitting at 24-1, playing number 3, Duke, who sits at 23-2.
Yeah, I'm going to take Michigan here. Now, obviously, this is probably the highest likely chance that Michigan loses a game just because Duke is ranked number 3 and they've only lost 2 games as well. But I do think Michigan is going to pull this one out and beat the number 3 Duke Blue Devils.
When you think of basketball, Eli, you don't think of Michigan.
That's
think
right.
Of Duke.
This is true.
So give me Duke in this game. Great game. We have some great games this weekend, as you can tell. So I think this one's going to come down to it. But give me the Blue Devils in this one. Last game, we got the late game here, 8:30 On ESPN, we have number 6 Iowa State versus 23 BYU.
Give me the upset. Give me the BYU Cougars. Woo!
No, give me Iowa State. Close one.
That's crazy.
But give me Iowa State.
I'd put all my marbles on BYU.
They're 22-3.
If I was a
They're
betting
22-3.
man. If I was a betting man.
It's at BYU. So, give some home court advantage there, but we will have those full breakdowns next week. That'll also be posted on our Instagram as well. If you're not following us there, go follow us on Instagram at The College Lineup. And with that, Eli, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to breaking it down next week on episode 17.